Hey everyone, today we're going to be building the ultimate starter home in San Sequoia in the new Hopewell Hills neighborhood. This is the lot that LilSimsie had her starter home on, and I moved into it for my own sim family because I wanted to play Growing Together, and I wasn't that happy with it. And in fairness, they had to make a developer build, so she didn't know what objects were coming in or whatever. But I wanted to make a house that looked like a lot of the other houses around the neighborhood because you're surrounded by prop houses. And I really wanted great gameplay objects in my house, particularly the tree house. I wanted to just jump in with my family and start playing with the new exciting objects. So for me, a requirement was I had to have the new game table so I could play with the new puzzle pieces and the mahjong and also the tree house. And I also wanted the house to look like all the other houses in the neighborhood, but at the same time still be a 4-bedroom, 2-bathroom. So someone left a really nice comment on my YouTube video asking for building tips, and I was really flattered because you guys had such a great response to the high school and how I approached it with kind of a gameplay focus. And I thought similarly I kind of do the same for a starter home. So something simple like removing the underside of the stairs there can save you a lot of money. And a lot of things what I do when I build a starter home is doing a cost analysis of how much things cost and what the benefit is. So you take a window like that from the new pack, which is 100 simoleons. I thought it looked so fancy and would make the house look so expensive. It was worth it compared to 80 simoleons, would say, for like 3 base game windows, if that even exists. What I'm doing here actually is making the house more asymmetrical because the bump out was only 3 tiles wide, but I wanted that to be a bedroom. And a rule I have for all my starter homes going now really is that the rooms have to be at least 4x4 because I always want them to be able to fit a double bed. Even if, it's going to be a kid's room and it's a single bed, they're going to eventually grow up. And I wanted something to be versatile so that even as your Sims start to make some money, you didn't have to move out straight away and move into another house. Because I've definitely found myself in a situation where I'll build a really small starter home, and as soon as you start to make some money from your job, you have to basically make a new house because you have nowhere to put any objects. So in this build, what you're basically seeing me doing is tweaking. And if you see me like pulling things forward and back, I'm actually checking the price of how much things cost and if it's worth it or not. So by this point, I kind of have the floor plan mostly figured out. And I always start upstairs first before I work downstairs because it's easier to make changes downstairs than it is to make upstairs. So I'll always figure the floor plan upstairs first. And then I do downstairs, and sometimes I might even feed into each other because here I liked where the stairs was, but I wanted the stairs in the other position because we're going to have those really lovely windows down there, and I wanted that to be the living room area, so I just needed a bit more space, and I was like, I need the stairs to be going that way. So that's why you saw me there just move everything around a little bit. You definitely just have to be really tricky when it comes to the price of things. For example, those stairs are actually cheaper than fencing. Those stairs with no underside is cheaper than a Growing Together fence or even a Basegame fence, which I think is really interesting, and that just gives you an insight to how I'm thinking. Because as you saw probably from the title and the description, there's no debug used, there's no free landscaping, this is all legit, all paid for, no move objects. I don't even think I really all played. I think I used F5. I really played by EA rules because I love a good challenge. So I was like, let's see what I can do. But basically by now the floor plan's done, and this is me putting in the downstairs bathroom, and I'm kind of thinking, okay, so where am I going to add extra rooms for more bedrooms? So basically I want everything to be 4x4, and I look at this, I'm like, oh, that's a great opportunity to have a back patio. Like that, you can see me panning the camera. I'm like, oh, I can put a back patio there because I want the house to have, to look really nice. I want there to be a garden. I want there to be entertaining because again, this is for my own save as well as your saves. I want to be able to jump in with a family with starter funds and get started on building a tree house and have that Growing Together experience. I didn't want to have to work in a career for 1 or 2 weeks to be able to afford those objects and then make, the gameplay I wanted, or to use a money cheat because I don't really like to cheat, but I'm actually pretty good at not playing with the money cheat. I'll just graft and make my Sims work for it. So by now I've added in the back patio and I've added on the side bedrooms, so we're now to 4 bedrooms and 2 bathrooms. And then from there it's kind of straightforward with roofing. I'm really happy with how this turned out. I think you can't really compare this though to LilSimsie's house because she was building like on a developer copy. So she had no idea how much things costed. She was working with sketches and concept art. She didn't know how big different objects would be. Whereas I have the final full game, so I'm able to kind of plan ahead and plan accordingly. You can kind of see me there moving things with the stairs because I wanted a nice big door there, but I realized it was actually cheaper just to move the bathroom and make it 6 tiles in that direction. So that just gives you an insight to how my brain's thinking. I'm always thinking about opportunity cost. It's like I could move the stairs there and upstairs pull that back and make the primary bedroom smaller, or I could just, you know, move the downstairs bathroom that way. So I just furnished the bathrooms because obviously plumbing is essential. And I really loved this table. This came from a free base game update a few years ago for Mexican celebrations. And I was like, I actually really liked it. I like interesting things. I'm not in the business of making bland houses. But I really like, I think we have to get rid of it at the end. But what I'm doing now is basically I'm throwing in all the objects I know I want in this build because I want to experience all those gameplay objects for infants, like the changing table. I wanted the changing table to have a bin and just adding in all those cool things. And then here, I'm just kind of doing some planning of where I wanted that treehouse, because I kind of thought at the time your Sims could walk from the back garden and cut through to that little park. They won't. They'll walk on the path around the front of the house, but it was a well-intentioned idea. And, you know, in terms of storytelling, it looks like your Sims could just skip out the back and walk, you know, directly a shortcut into that park, but they won't do that, unfortunately. But it looks legit. And then kind of at this point, I'm just painting the house. We kind of have a really set idea of what I wanted it to look like. I obviously wanted to use the new, you know, flooring and walls from the pack. I also have a few base game builds. So if you don't have Growing Together, I also have a 20,000 simoleon build and a 22,000 simoleon build. So it's 3 bedrooms and 4 bedrooms respectively for that price point. And this one's 22,000 because it's basically the same price as LilSimsie, but just has a lot more objects and gameplay in it because I was really able to plan ahead. Now I'm putting some flooring down. That came with the high school pack as a free update for base game, and I love that flooring. That's a really great wood flooring. It's very classic. Another thing that I like to do when I do a budget build is actually do the landscaping, even before, for the most part, I do the furnishing. Because we're not going to use debug landscaping, you don't want to get caught in doing a lot of interior design and realizing you don't have any money left for landscaping. And the truth is, landscaping can be really cheap if you're smart about it. So I'm always kind of doing a cost analysis. Like, you can get some really small daisies for 20 simoleons, or you can get those bigger flowers there for 25 simoleons. And then they're much more visually interesting, and I always feel like that's like worth a lot of money. As is that big bush. That big bush is 30 compared to most other ones which are smaller for 25. So you're only saving 5 simoleons and you get a much bigger bush. So I always go for that. And then I wanted to do the backyard because I wanted there to be an entertainment spot, and I really wanted the house to move in and be ready to go. I love the new tiles that come with the pack, these kind of subway tiles with the paint on top. I actually wish they would have included a paint wallpaper of just those solid colors on top that we could have mixed and matched. Unfortunately, they don't match any of the base game paints. As you can see there, I was trying to match them up and it just never happened. I'm trying to think. So yeah, when I'm thinking about like doing a lot of base game builds, when you make money in Sims, I think the most thing that we do is we upgrade everything. We upgrade the kitchen, we upgrade the bed. You know, like you swap those things out, and for any player that's really easy to do. To, you know, take a fridge out, put a new fridge in. But for the most part, like, I wasn't going to skimp on landscaping because I don't think when your Sims make money, I don't think the first thing you think of is, oh, let's, you know, make the garden look better. For that most part, I think most people just wait to make a lot of money and then they go back in and just build a new house, and then you kind of landscape from scratch. So I wanted you to move into a house that had nice landscaping, had to be finished in areas that I know you're likely not going to upgrade yourself, even if you make money in the game. Because at least from the way I play it is that when I play with a Sim family and they start making money, I'll get better fridges and computers and televisions and things. But if it gets to the point that you have a lot of money and you want to do a lot with the house, you kind of just bulldoze and build a new one. So I didn't want you to feel like you had to move in, and then as soon as you made some money, you had to move out and start again with a different house. You can really build in this house and upgrade it. And again, there's room for double beds in all the rooms, so you can have grandparents and teenagers and college students living there. I love that plant. That's a really cheap plant, and I think it was a really great way to just add something to the back garden. Unfortunately, the parents' room, and we'll call it the teenage room, is kind of bland. I mean, they're not really age specific. But for me, I put a lot of focus on furnishing the infant's room and then the kids' room, because those are obviously going to be the 2 live stages you're playing first. And it was a really good bet that by the point you got to a teenager, their traits are going to be more defined in your game, and you're going to have more money from going to work and things. And so by then you can kind of do an interior design job on the teenager's room, because, you know, through the milestones and through the gameplay, like, that's how I'm thinking. So for me, it's like I don't mind having the primary bedroom and the teen room look bad, but I really wanted to use the new bed and, you know, use all the new infant stuff, and how you upgrade an infant bed to a toddler bed. So that room looks really well decorated. So those are, because again, I'm playing grown together. I'm coming in with like maybe a couple, like 2 Sims. They're going to have a kid straight away. They're automatically going to play in the nursery first. It's long before they go to like the teenage room with the desk in it. So I really wanted the kids' room to look good. Like there's a doll house in it. Like there's a lot in this kids' room. And I got the new bed in, the new desk, the new chair. I really wanted this to be well furnished because that's a live stage you're going to play with first. And I also felt if you're going to make a family that wasn't an infant, you might like make a family with like 2 Sims and a kid, and then you have an infant in your game, so you'd have a family of 4. So I was like, there was a really good bet that you probably would be playing with kids more so than teenagers, because this isn't the high school pack. So I like how this turned out, and the more furnished the rooms were, I changed them to wood floor just so that the other rooms that were less furnished, so the primary suite and the teenage suite, I put carpet in just to make it look a bit more interesting. I put in these free photo frames, not as a cheat, like, oh, it's free decoration, but because when I play Generations, I love playing with taking pictures. I love doing selfies and taking pictures of graduations and, you know, birthdays and everything, and selfies by the pier. I'm obsessed with that. I love photography in The Sims 4. So I put those in for myself just because I can just, you know, put those photos in really easily, and I wanted to see what it was like. I love the Moschino digital frame because for a lot of times I take a lot of photos and my house gets overloaded with photos. So I use the Moschino frame because it's like a digital photo frame. It just cycles through them. I love the Moschino pack. I am a closet Moschino pack lover. I love the cast, like the leather jacket. There's not enough leather jackets in the game. I love the build by windows. Yeah, but for a family house, I obviously will not be using that. This is just Basegame and growing together. But yeah, I'm really happy with how this turned out. This is the teenage room. They got sacrificed the most. Again, my bet was by the time your sim raised a family that would become a teenager, they'd have money and funds. So it's pretty generic. And at this point, I'm doing the good old terrain paint. Just, you know, making it look really nice and finished, and even under the treehouse. I hope those trees don't move when the treehouse is built. I haven't played it yet. I just built the house and I was like, let's record this. Because there's actually a backlog of videos on my channel, but I said I'd get this one out because obviously the new pack's just come out and it's hot. And by now, because I've done the interior design, I've circled back around to the outside and I was like, okay, let's repaint this. And I really like this, how this looks now. I think it looks like a really great blue Suburban, and it looks modern. It looks like the houses around it. That was so important to me. And again, I'm adding extra things into the nursery because I know those are the rooms I'm going to be playing in first, because I'm going to again move in with a couple, you know, if you know, like a new young couple, and they'll have an infant. So I wanted to make sure that those are furnished more so than the teenage room or even the primary bedroom. Unfortunately, I had to use cheaper tables and chairs and just to make a bit more money. And I also believe I removed the keepsake box. That's the friendship box, I keep that. But I removed the keepsake box in exchange for a bookcase, which I think was a good bet, because the cheap keepsake box, I don't think anyone wants to play with. It looks like a lunchbox. I think if you're going to play with that by the time you have an elder in the house, there it is, you're probably going to have enough money to afford a better one. And that bookcase is more essential for both entertainment and reading to a toddler and an infant, so I changed that. I also tried flirting with a white fence instead of a black one, but we go back to black because the contrast is nicer. And then here I am just doing some tiny reorganization to make the teen room look better. But as you can see, all the rooms are 4x4 specifically because I wanted them to be able to be easily expandable when your Sims grow up and you're living in a multi-generational household. I didn't want you to feel the pressure they had to move house. You can live here basically for as long as you want. But yeah, I'm just testing all the objects. I have like all the infant stuff. I left off one wall unpainted. I can't believe you're gonna have to fix that when you download it from the gallery. But there's the friendship bracelet thing. There's the bookcase. I changed the keepsake box for the bookcase. But I'm super excited about how this turned out. I can't wait to jump in and play this after I upload the video. And again, it wasn't anything against LilSimsie. I just needed a different house to play in because I wanted to play with the treehouse straight away. And I wasn't gonna have enough money by the time I moved in. So I was like, I'll just build one myself, put it on the gallery, and it'll make for a great YouTube video. So here it is. This is the final build. I'm really happy with how it turned out. hopefully it gave you a tiny bit of insight into how I build stuff in The Sims 4, especially when you're on a starter budget. I'm happy with how it turned out. I think it was a great opportunity to use objects I don't normally use. This is a house style I don't build. I'm a modern builder, so to go going craftsman was a big leap for me. I can't believe we don't have matching paint for these new tiled walls. I wish they did like a plain paint version with no subway tiles so that you can mix and match. But alas, I love the kids' room. I think that turned out really well. This is kind of bland, but trust me, add some photos in, take some selfies, throw them onto that, and you'll be good to go. I love how the nursery turned out. Again, I wanted those rooms to be really well furnished, because I know those are the rooms you guys are going to play in straight away, because it's the new Growing Together pack and infants are the new update. This is like the teen room, or maybe it's an elder room. It can be whatever you want. Yeah, I like how it turned out. It has all the gameplay objects you're going to want to play with straight away for family gameplay. The new game table, it has the new tree house you can all build together. And subscribe to see more, because the video's over. It's looping. I'm like, did I repeat this? No, the video's over, so the video's going to cut now. Thanks for watching, and do give it a thumbs up and I was going to say thumbs up and subscribe. Do give it a thumbs up and drop a comment down below if you want to download the build and let me know what you think of it. And my username is in the description from the gallery. Alright, I'm gonna go. Bye.